Okay, while we're waiting, good day to everyone, and hopefully the microphone works well, and I hope you're all in a good mood. So we got a lot of news again, quite interesting. So I had to put it a little bit earlier today simply because I am packing for Australia. There's a lot to do, so running like a headless chicken around here, trying to organize myself. So I thought, let's do this properly and then I can pack in peace. So I hope you're all fine, and do give us a thumbs up whilst you're waiting. Our team puts a lot of effort into preparing all this. So thank you. Hi, I see all my friends. I see Angel, I see Jackie. Mark is even there. That's wonderful. Very nice. Of course, my team is there. Sasha, Belladonna, and Jenny. That's always wonderful. So if you don't know me, I'll just quickly introduce. Hi, Susan's also there. That's very nice. Very nice. So all my Patreon friends are here too. That's wonderful. And yeah. So anyway, I will try and continue with the news from Australia in some way or another. It depends on the internet and my time because of the time difference, but I'll certainly do my best. Okay, so we're going to start in about 50 seconds. Good day. It is April the 4th, 2018, and this is Christian Sasse. For those of you who don't know me, I host Sasse, the Sassemedia channel, the SassePhoto channel, and with the aim of giving you up-to-date news and interesting media across the world, all around Raptors, together with my team. So here we go. I'm just going to disappear from the screen so you have a better view. Now there's a lot of nest, there's a lot going on in the nest. This is typical for March and April. It is just booming spring, starting with the American Eagle Foundation at Smoky Mountain. The first egg hatch was yesterday at 3:50 p.m. Then came the second hatch on the 4th. That is just this morning. So early this morning we had the second hatch at 1:13 a.m. and I just read that the third pip is on its way. So good luck to Smoky Mountain, and wonderful to see that. I saw Maggie putting a lot of that on Facebook in the in the Florida Audubon Society. Very nice. Decorah, very exciting too. First hatch has been April Fool's Day at 7:25. Second hatch on the 2nd of April. And Harmer, Pittsburgh, also first egg hatch 2nd of April. First hatch 2nd of April, second hatch on the 3rd of April. And Notre Dame, and we'll probably connect to Notre Dame at the end of the month if we can. First hatch was 2nd of April, second hatch also on the 2nd of April. It's going very, very fast. Minnesota bound, first egg hatch, 1st of April. The second one on the 3rd of April. Lots going on everywhere. Really wonderful. And then Sandy Ridge, Ohio, first eagle hatch on the 31st. And we don't know the time for that. But we do go on to the laid eggs. So those were the hatches. So we go and jump back now to the laid one. The American Eagle Foundation in Washington, D.C. Yes, we spoke about that earlier. The second one was laid on the 28th of March, and 2 harbors had an egg laid in the meantime on the 2nd of April. Non-viable, that's broken eggs in Minnesota, DNR. The first egg broke on the 28th and the second one on the 31st. That's unlucky. The same for Hayes. The third egg probably won't hatch. That is the news. Thank you to my team for that great update. Okay, before we go to the screenshots and so on, I'm going to jump now to news across the world. And we start off in, once again, you remember we had this incredible interview with the American Bald Eagle Foundation in Haines last Friday. If you haven't seen that show, it is really worth looking into it. We had an excellent interview there, and you can see all about lead poisoning. So let me just jump into this page here, and hopefully this works.
Bald eagle in Iowa has died of lead poisoning. That makes a total of 7 total eagles with lead poisoning, a few who have died in just a few months. This video is from Alex Leinot's Facebook page. She's the founder of Heart of the Wild and has been helping rescue the birds. Leinot says she's never seen this many sick birds in such a short amount of time.
Well, that is rather alarming. As you can see, never seen so many sick birds in such a short time. That is not good. So let's jump to the Audubon Society, the Birds of Prey. They had a rather interesting, website here. And one of the interesting things I found here was there you can see an X-ray picture of a bird of prey, and you can do your own analysis there, which is really interesting. X-rays are not easy to read. So the question is, what is wrong there? So do have a look at that page. I won't tell you what the answer is, because I think you should have a look at the X-ray picture. It's really quite interesting. Osprey Mama is also there. Hi, nice to see Diana and Osprey Mama and others and David and so on. So I quickly wanted to greet my, my fabulous viewers. Thank you for joining. That was from the Audubon Society. And now we come to an interesting behavior of bald eagles. So this is jumping right back to Florida again. There's the Marco Eagles Conservancy after ejection from nest. So what happened here? Just expand the page a bit. So what happened there was a tough winter for the eagles on Marco Island, and unfortunately Paleo, that is the male of the nest, got electrocuted on one of the power lines there. That must have been a medium voltage line, I presume. And so the male then was replaced by another male, and what this male promptly did was to kick these 2 eaglets out of the nest. Well, you say that's really cruel and unfair. Well, that's the way nature works. Now, the good news is that the Marco Eagle Sanctuary Foundation picked up these eaglets, and they are now in good health and good care. So that's good to know. So the babies are unable. So they are at Arks Wildlife Hospital at the Conservancy of the Southwest Florida in Naples. So that is good to see. Isn't it fantastic that they are doing so well? Good that people care. And now the absolute opposite, and this is interesting about osprey behavior. So nature behaves in many, well, I would say mysterious ways where we haven't got a clue. And what is interesting about this is osprey skips migration to help its sister with broken wing. That's rare in the animal kingdom. Well, the question is it rare or not? I wouldn't be able to say, but it's maybe rare from an observation. This came from the Virginian pilot, and what has happened here is that one of the siblings was bringing fish to the other sibling who had a broken wing. Isn't that fabulous? Absolutely fabulous. How quickly their instinct kicks in. The only sad story about this, if I understand correctly, is then the osprey juvenile was rescued and unfortunately had to be euthanized because its broken wing was in irreparable shape. But anyway, I think this is absolutely fascinating. I do believe that this also happens more than we know. This brings us to another story of collapsing nests. We've had, you know, a lot about the collapsing nests that we've had. Now we come to LA, Los Angeles County, and you can see how wobbly this nest was built on the left. Okay, if you look at the close-up here of the picture, you can see the nest really looks wobbly, and it did collapse, and unfortunately the two eaglets didn't survive the fall. So hopefully, well, that's just nature. That's what they say here. What causes the nest collapse? Well, it is, you can see it from the build. That was not a very clever build, and this is, sometimes there are just no trees around, so eagles do what they can, and you come to these collapses. So sometimes eaglets do survive, and in other times they don't. It depends on where and how far they are. Now this is really interesting. Now we're getting into the field of drones. Now drones are becoming quite ubiquitous, and it is interesting. I mean, if you've ever driven a drone before, you'll know they are fairly flexible, but they are obviously no competition for eagles. And in this case, we're talking about 3 wedge-tailed eagles attacking a drone in a so-called dogfight. I did turn the sound off here because I found it a little bit intimidating and silly, but I found the footage very interesting. So this is obviously the picture of a drone flying with the camera pointing backwards. And there are quite a few drones that are being taken down, but I think drone pilots have to be incredibly careful. There you go, because obviously they see a drone as an intrusion of territory. And I think the drone pilot was lucky that his drone wasn't kicked out of the sky, because they're obviously no match for eagles, and they're really pulling off as fast as they can now. But yes, beware, beware. So this is I think this is obviously in Australia, but some really interesting footage. Now he's landing the drone, you can see that. Ah, yeah, he picked it up. There we go. So much for the drone. And here another story about, now this is really unfortunate and absolutely despicable and unacceptable, is to shoot golden eagles for their tail feathers. And this is what the next story here is about. It's happened in Navajo Nation Zoo. They picked up this 3rd golden eagle. They had pulled out they shot the eagle and it was rescued. They pulled out the tail feathers. It is unbelievable what people do. I mean, there are horrendous fines for this. Obviously, they go up all the way to 250,000. I think there's, but it will not stop people from doing this. So, but I think it's important to report these type of things and also show you what is going on, even if they're sad. Now we come to some interesting story. Federally prosecuted Osprey nest destroyed off Highway 90. There seems to be quite an uproar about this case, so I'm just going to play this. It's going to become completely clear what's going on.
People are livid in Chatham County over the workers who disturbed a federally protected bird. They removed an osprey nest with 3 eggs from a light pole on Highway 80. Now here's a look at those eggs that were in the nest. People say that nest has been there for years. Contractors say they needed to fix the light for safety reasons. However, conservationists told our Danielle Awan that the safety of our wildlife should have been just as important in their decision-making.
If you've driven out to Tybee Island, you've probably seen an osprey nest, just like this one. This is not the nest, but a contractor through Chatham County removed a similar nest. In a statement released today, the county says the contractor was fixing a light pole and the light fixtures are in place for public safety reasons. They added, it's the understanding of the county that permits are not needed when public safety is at risk. The eggs were taken to the Oatland Island Wildlife Center and incubated until they could be transferred to the Center for Birds of Prey near Charleston today. The Department of Natural Resources says removing this nest was reckless.
If it endangered public safety, I'm sure there was a remedy other than destroying the nest and removing the eggs.
And a simple phone call would have been enough.
Explain that there's an osprey nest at the top of this pole. It has eggs in it, but we need to get this light
When angry drivers noticed the missing nest, they vented on Facebook with statuses such as, "That nest has survived 2 hurricanes but couldn't survive the stupidity of this city. Unreal." And "Why must people be so destructive?" Osprey birds are not endangered species, but are federally protected by the Migratory Birds Act. The DNR says what the county contractor did was against the law. The county is currently looking into that.
That was our Danielle Lewan reporting. Now, the eggs appeared to be in good condition on the way to Charleston today. However, according to the DNR, osprey are famous for aggressively protecting their nest and that the mother will likely be hunting for the nest and her babies.
The excitement continues in St. George, Utah on the Red Rock Golf Trail.
Well, that is a rather interesting view here. Of course, you can see the conflict that you have here with the with the argument of the public safety, which can be quite stretched because it's a very gray area. So the question is, what is the definition of public safety? Can one do without a lamp? Does one have to take down the Osprey list? But I like this type of discussion. It's very important that people with social media are engaged in this. So I think that is rather interesting. And now we come to the next the next story here. Helena Courthouse captivated by visit from great horned owl. Isn't that marvelous? So let me just play this clip to you and you'll understand immediately what is going on here.
In the courtroom, but for the last 2 days, employees have been captivated by what's going on outside the building. A great horned owl has been roosting in a large nest near the top of a neighboring ash tree this afternoon. We talked to a number of employees who've been watching the large bird of prey, the owl clearly visible from a window in Judge Mike Menahan's courtroom. Menahan is an avid bird watcher who keeps a list of all the birds he sees from the bench, and he says the nest was built last year by crows. While holding court yesterday, he noticed a large group of crows flying at the owl.
Well, crows and songbirds, other birds will mob predatory birds when they're sitting on a perch. And so yesterday we counted as many as 14 crows mobbing the great horned owl. A murder of crows, which is ironic given it was criminal law in motion.
Menahan says it's not uncommon to see great horned owls around Helena, but they aren't usually in the center of town. This is the first one he's seen at the courthouse. All right, Curtis, now we can see it from that video out there. It was a bluebird day today. What about the rest of the weekend?
Well, isn't that interesting to call it a murder of crows? I think that was very well said. And the final story here is also interesting. You probably know that David Hancock is putting a lot of effort into banding and tracking eagles. Well, owls have always been thought to not migrate. And this is put very much into question. It says the mystery of northern saw-whet owl migration because they're putting more and more bans on owls and tracking them. It's actually a very interesting story. If I remember correctly, this is in Minnesota, and they're finding that these type of small saw-whet owls actually do migrate west and some east over winter. So we are learning a lot about nature, things that we never knew before. So it is really marvelous. And that is all from the news section. So let's go back now to the Hatch News. And here are some screenshots from our viewers. Thank you to Janet, who came with this beautiful view here from the American Eagle Foundation, DC. We just said that was the hatch of the first egg. Thank you, Janet. And another one on the 29th of March, from also from DC. Beautiful. And now we jump to the nest that is furthest ahead, and we had a visitor there, a 3-year-old. This visitor felt right at home this afternoon and stayed at the nest for over an hour. Spirit wasn't very pleased and was busy guarding his pine cones until he finally took off, whereas Romeo flew in and was quite tolerant. Visitor was possibly one of theirs. It looks like a 3-year-old. Yes, I agree, 3-year-old very much. So they do get visitors. And now a beautiful video here from, I think that was the berry nest. Yes, just enjoy this. Big defender. I think this is a marvelous clip, by the way. Really well chosen. It shows how their instincts for protection of the nest kicks in at a very early age, right? I've never seen a clip like this before, so it's absolutely intriguing. So Gianni, thank you very much for giving us this insight. Okay, some more screenshots here from the berry nest by Celeste. Yes, Marberry showing her shadow a little. That's very nice. Little bee, beautiful, our survivor in the berry nest. And here someone has been on a trip. A few shots my husband Tom did when he went to the berry nest. You can see there's Marberry and Little bee. Isn't that wonderful to visit that? Very nice picture here from the berry nest, and another one from Tom. So enjoy that. Isn't it beautiful? And you can watch more if you like to on the Facebook page, Branch Buddies. And another one here from Tim Holden of the berry nest. Really beautiful. Thank you. Okay, and now an interesting clip here from Dale Hollow. Undercover eaglet. This is marvelous too, absolutely marvelous. I have not seen a clip like this before. I didn't even know it was possible. I actually don't know what the purpose of this is. Maybe Mama here or Papa, yeah, it was, I think it was Papa Eagle who just either tried to hide, or he said, you know what, I'm going out, I'm closing the door here. Whatever the purpose was, really marvelous to have such cameras. Isn't he doing a fantastic job? I know it was quite cold in Dale Hollow. So there he goes. About 15 minutes later, here we go. Yes, coming back. Ah, the female eagle coming back. Marvelous. Now. Flies in a live fish. Oh, I see. So what? Oh, what happens now? Yeah, you can see it's a live fish. And there, can't resist that one. Oh, it's absolutely very nice. Jackie, that was great. Thank you so much for that beautiful contribution. Absolutely marvelous, marvelous. And here's some more from Dale Hollow. MSO, who's also here. I saw MSO already. Yes, thank you. Taken by MSO. Thank you for being here today. And these are your beautiful pictures of, yeah, and swallows a huge bite of fish. Isn't that wonderful? Look at the mum's tail, biting mum's tail on the left. Really marvelous, marvelous. And another screenshot here, Facebook page, Decora eagles. Just as we're watching, D29 was being fed by Ma and Pa, and another head pops out. Marvelous. So nobody knew. So from one came two, and the next, and so they knew that D30 had also arrived. Really marvelous, isn't it, to have these cameras and these wonderful, well, Easter surprises. And now we come to Andrea F., who's taken this incredible picture, because I've heard how cold it was on the East Coast in Pittsburgh. Incredible, isn't it? How they are watching, what a beautiful picture. They're watching their little ones here early in the morning. And Notre Dame, we've talked about it. That is Notre Dame number 5. You can see the pip there, isn't it beautiful? So the hatch was on the 2nd of April. And that was the ND6 coming out finally. So you had that one, that's ND5, and there's ND6 as it popped open. All very recent, done by Sasha. Thank you very much, Nicole. Excuse me. And then, yes, Minnesota bound, we had Minnesota bound too. That is M17 that came out. There's a pip in the second egg, and our second eaglet could arrive any second. Yes, and I think it did. I think it did. And here we are, Jean Pichler, Eagle Cam addicts, 2 harbors. Yes, so we're going back to California here. First egg this afternoon, K82, was injured in a territorial battle earlier in the nesting season, and as a result did not lay in her usual time frame. We are happy her second fertility cycle is a success. How wonderful for California, especially remember all the DDT problems they had. That is very well deserved. And so thank you very much to my talent team, Suzanne, Jenny, Nicole, and Donna. Really marvelous, marvelous. So my friends, thank you very much for joining. So I am off to Australia tomorrow, flying around midnight. So it's all very exciting. Should be fine. I'm going to pack now. That's also the reason why we had news a bit earlier. You will definitely hear from me from Australia, I promise you. I may not be able to show you any eagles. If I am, I'll be able to show you wedge-tailed eagles. We'll try and keep up the Wednesday sessions for the Eagle News, which will be, but they will be in the afternoon because that is in the morning for me on the next day in Australia. So quite a time jump. I'm actually missing my Friday completely, Friday the 6th of April, and landing there on the 7th. So once I get acclimatized and so on, I will do some spontaneous reports, and I've got some real great surprises for you. I'm going to test them, of course. You know I'm always full of surprises and so on. I won't tell you more now. But anyway, my friends, I would like to thank you for joining and thank you for the kind comments. And if you like, join Patreon. I'm going to send a message out to all the Patreon people today. So there will be regular updates in Patreon. So don't you worry. You're going to get your beautiful pictures. Everything that is promised you will get in the best quality. On that note, thank you for joining, and yeah, wish you a wonderful rest of the week. So on Friday, I'll be in the plane, obviously, but you will hear from me fairly soon. Goodbye, and love to all the eagles in your area.